Hello and welcome back to another edition of Tell Me Something Good. The guests, the content, this stuff is really working. Feedback has been great. I am super excited to have my friend David Greenberg join us today. David is an amazing human being. As I said, a friend. He's on the board with me at JA and does a tremendous amount of giving back. He's a 9/11 survivor, which I think uniquely positions him to speak about business in the time of crisis, and I laugh about it. But I think one of the things you and I have in common, among many things, but one of the things is we totally believe in mental preparedness, mental fitness, and this is the test of these. So without further ado, the format is your chance to share with my audience something good. So tell me something good, David Greenberg.
Nice to be on your show. Well, first of all, something good is that we will get through this. Okay, there's going to be some pain and a lot of learning and a lot of different emotions going back and forth. But at the end of the day, the country's going to get through this. The world's going to get through this. We're going to get through it. But as I like to talk to people now with my clients, is that okay? What are we going to see evolve out of this? We're not going to come out of this the same country and world, that we started. Just like after 9/11, the world was different. But the key thing is that you have to make it a better place. You need to make a better mindset. You need to make it a better work environment. And the lessons that will be learned when the post-mortem is done on this entire process, about the mistakes that were made, and there's going to be mistakes. It's just the way it works. And the great things that were done. You're going to find a new version of yourself, your company, and the country.
Which, if that's not something good, what is? When you look back at history, and 9/11 is a good one to look back on. It was complete chaos, right? No one could have fathomed that happening to us as a country, to New York as a city, to people who worked in that building. So clearly, out of that came new stuff. So you and I have talked. Why don't you share a little bit about the backdrop of how the World Trade Center started, and then what led us to that?
And yeah, that's a great point, Stephen. And also, it's going to be how these next paradigm shifts going to change. So what I talk about is that it's very simply back in the old days, which some of your viewers were too young to remember, and some of viewers were part of it. You had Paine-Webber, E.F. Hutton, and all these other financial institutions that were all over the city. So they said, wait a minute, we build a building that goes straight up. Instead of having the bikes on the runners and waiting a day or two to get the paperwork or whatever, we can be in the same building and go from floor to floor. First paradigm shift, changed the world and the way business was done. 9/11, give you a quick background about my story. I parked on the South Tower. I had invented a breakfast club that every morning we got breakfast at the windows of the world for free. And I was going up there, and there was an issue with the express elevator, or it wasn't there or something. And they told me I had to take the local. So what I ended up doing was, I said, screw that, I'm not going to take the local. I left the building, went across the street, sat in my office. The first plane hit. Lost everybody at breakfast. I lost 24 people from my company. But what happened is that we were at the exchange and we were all outside. The second plane hits. And then when, we decided that we're going to postpone, the exchange opening. And then all of a sudden I see my friend running down the street. Like, I've never seen him run. I'm like, what? And he points up, and the building's coming down on us. So, we got out of there, and this gentleman by the name of Vincent Viola, who is a friend and a mentor of mine, was chairman of the exchange at the time. And he got a call from Washington that night stating that world energy prices and world gold prices were going insane all over the place. We had to get it up and running. So to make a long story short, he got the board together, which I was on. We went down there a day later, and we were down there for the 3 months during the cleanup, and 3 months, from that time on, actually, to get the exchange up and running. And we were up, the first exchange up in a week to start
trading. Which is hard to fathom. Hard to fathom that things went down, and in a week you had them back up and running. And so that's a good time reference.
You had heroes like Vinny. Vinny literally was on the roof of the exchange with helicopters coming down with generators up to his ankles in oil that was spilling out. Okay, we had people that were putting lines in cell towers because all our communications were in the World Trade Center. So we got up and running. We brought 1,000 people a day by boat down the river, up the wall, into the building, 3-foot parameter, got them to trade for hours and get them out of there. But what that happened, so here it was is that people then found out that we had a little bit of internet, good internet, not great internet. It was the adoption of emails, and there were fax machines. So, okay, so there's the next iteration. You had building to do things faster. Now they were out, they could go anywhere. So I think what we're going to find now, and which is going to be the next iteration of business in general, is that with things like what we're doing, voice over, internet, with high speed internet, with all these other ways that we can communicate, you can have 30 people in a meeting from all over the world being on the same desktop. And I think what we're going to see is a couple things. I think what we're going to see is that businesses are going to be like, okay, my 30% or 40% or whatever the number of my staff, I can rotate. I can have them come in 2 days a week and not 2 days a week because I want them to have a desk and I want them to be here, right? And he goes, we can have these meetings because of the high speed and everything that we're doing. So I can make my employees healthier. I can say, hey, listen, you don't have to come in today, but you need to show me you were at the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Love that idea. Love that idea.
You don't want to commute. You want to work from home. You want to prove that your productivity is just as good, if not better, on your time. I'm good with that. And the millennial generation is ready for that. So it was more like our generation that was pulling back on that.
Correct.
I don't think you or I, but some of the old-fashioned guys. But this is forcing them. This is literally forcing them. Just like electronic trading being turned on that day for the first time in history during the day showed me that, oh my God, this can work, right? So I think you're going to see these paradigm shifts, and that's going to be part of the process of healing through this thing, and where in time, the lessons that we learn, we're going to move forward from it.
So I love that, because one of the things I love to talk about is perspective. Things look different at different times. Right now, people are freaking out because they don't know what's going to happen next month. As a career sales guy, I never knew what was going to happen next month. I just had faith in what I was doing and said, okay, if I do enough of this, something good will happen. I don't know why that's changed. I don't know why people during this particular time are paralyzed. What's up?
Listen, as a trader, I traded my own money. I was what we call a local trader. And to me, a long-term trade was 45 seconds. A short-term trade was buy and sold, like that. Okay, so I literally every day was a new canvas, So what I talk to my people about is like, if you look at every day as a new canvas, period. And if you understand that, that there's a fine line between fear and excitement. Okay, and I've worked with athletes about this and top execs, is that if you can embrace that fear and realize, okay, this is the charge, this is the battery charge that you need to move to the next level. Okay, that's the difference between the leaders and the non-leaders. The leaders take that energy, they take that fear, and they go, okay, this has energized me. How do I make this work to the next level?
Wow.
Wow. And that's
of all of the people that I've spoken to, and I've spoken to many, either in this format or through Zoom meetings since this has happened, not one has said to me, and I'll rephrase it, but that the fear is the fuel. I mean, that's unbelievable.
I have to be honest with
you. I got chills.
Every day that I walked into the pit before that bell rang, it was 9:59 and 30 seconds. We opened up at 10 o'clock, and I was ready to throw up. Okay, I literally, my knees were shaking. It's my first trade of the day. I was either going to be up or down. I had no idea, and it made your mindset change. But you know what? That bell rang, and if anybody wants to look it up, go to NYMEX trading on YouTube or whatever. It's wild stuff. It's like trading places with bodies are flying and crazy kind of stuff. Okay, but you know what happens? It's like the traders, like athletes. The minute the play started, you didn't think about it. You just did it. And what I've explained to people, if you truly know your craft and you're not full of BS, right? And you understand it and you're confident within yourself and you feel good about yourself, which, by the way, is not a bad thing to do. Okay, too many people think it's not about being. There's a difference between being confident and being cocky, right? And
I love that. Classes. I speak that all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, guys. I want somebody to walk into the room and have a presence in the room. I don't want the guy that say, "Hey, I'm here," right? But you got that confidence. If you believe,
and when you see that, when you meet somebody who's one or the other, you know it instantly.
Yeah, you just kind of listen, you nod your head, you're like, okay, yeah, you have a good day, But the thing is that confidence, okay, will allow you to know. The thing that I always talk about my clients, it's very funny. I look at the kids and go, what are you going to do more than when you graduate? Everything you've ever done before. They're like, we're going to work hard and we're going to do this and this. I'm like, no. And the file, I'll clean it up for your audience. I'm like, you're going to screw up. I go, you're going to screw up more than you ever knew that you could do. And the key thing as a trader is that 70% of my trades were bad trades. So I could either sit on my butt all day long every time I had a bad trade, or I could immediately forget it, put it forward, and go to the next trade. So
Wow.
I explain to people, if you know that you believe in yourself enough that when you screw up, you can pivot, okay, and not sit there and just beat the living crap out of yourself about the screw up. You always used to say, except for my, ex-wife, everyone screws up, because according to, this is ex-wife one. Okay, so according to,
You and
yeah,
I share that
yeah,
story.
exactly. We could just
That's
put
for
them
a
all
different.
together
That's for a different show.
and have a whole dinner party. Yeah, that's the dinner party show after a couple of drinks. But you know what? Everybody screws up. And what I've been talking to people on very high ends of the community now, I said, you're going to make mistakes during this process. Let me tell you something. Vinny got the place running. The board did great, but we made some mistakes. We did. Okay. And I have to be honest with you. We don't look back and say, oh my God, I can't believe we made that mistake, because you're going to making decisions on the fly now. And if you get choked by the thought about making a bad decision now, you're never going to get through this.
That's
But if
worse
you,
than making a bad decision.
oh God, a no decision, nothing
Right.
happens. A
I
bad
agree.
decision, it goes wrong and you pivot. Okay. As long as you're okay to say, hey, screwed up. I mean, people think
Right.
I'm crazy. It's like I make a comment, I'm wrong. Oh, yeah, I'm wrong. They're like, why aren't you upset about it? I'm like, okay, so I'm wrong. Big deal. Everybody's wrong. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's right. Don't get caught up.
Really spot on.
So many people are so caught up in business about having to be right, and they bury themselves, right? Rather than saying, oh yeah, no, I thought this was wrong. Instead of going left, I'm going to go right, and then I'm going to go left. Okay. And that's where you find in my business training and my business coaching, what I do is that is where most people are just paralyzed. I'm at the table. I'm the first one at a meeting going, I had no clue that was the way I could think about it. Thank
Wow.
you for letting me know
Yeah.
that, and I just look at it. I used to come home, especially after a meeting with Vinny or some of these other people. I used to say to my kids, like, I had the greatest meeting today. I was literally the dumbest person at the table, and my kids would say,
You're in good company, man. Right. I
yeah,
love it.
well, Gary Cohn, who's the former, head of government, whatever, economic government, started out with us, many, many years ago. At Sterling, he was a trader. He was on my father's board. And he once said, it was the way that he became COO of Goldman Sachs. Wasn't that he was the brightest guy in the room? He graduated American University, great university, but didn't go to
Right.
Harvard, Yale, Princeton, anything. Okay. He had the best people around him. And it's like what I talk to my people about is like, have a Knights of your round table, and have a Knights of your round table that you have people that will look at you and say, what the hell are you thinking? Don't just have people that are going to kiss your butt and pat you on the back and say, boy, you're doing great. Okay, because those aren't the people you want. You want some people like that when you're having a bad day. You call those people,
Well,
right? We all
Lori,
have those.
right? Yeah, Lori Salarillo from
Oh yeah,
JA just complimented the board of which you're on that
no,
that
thank you.
executive board, and she said, look, she's so blessed that she has people who are proactive and to bounce ideas off
Right,
of. I've
and
done
not
that
have,
my whole career.
yeah, and you don't necessarily have to agree. So bringing it full circle to what we're all going through now is that this does suck, especially for most people. They've never been through this before. This is my second national tragedy where the world literally stopped on a dime. Okay. I mean, we had different fear back then. I was going down. We were breathing in all the smoke. I'm on a 9/11 health registry with some health issues from this, which is kind of cross over to this new thing. Right. But you know what? We went down there. We did what we had to do. It was a service to the country, and you do it. Just like what look what these medical workers are doing now.
Incredible,
I mean,
incredible.
listen, they are the new heroes. 9/11 and us, we had our time, and we always will respect that and look back at that. But the new heroes and the latest heroes now are the medical workers, the people, that are still, even the people that are still out there serving food. These are all people that would
Yeah.
like to be home with their families, and they're serving the public. And you know what? Just make sure that everybody says thank you to them. Because when we're
You
sitting,
are a solid human being. I'm so excited that you're in my life. If you were to leave with one parting thought about something really, really good, you want to give us a prediction? You want to give us what do you want to leave us with that is something really, really good? This entire interview was amazing, but one last thing.
I think if people take the time during this process to reflect on themselves, they'll all wind out afterwards kinder, better, smarter, more proactive, and their future will be brighter than it ever was, because what 9/11 did for me is it took me out of the matrix. Okay. And when I talk about taking people out of the matrix is that, as I also had an accident where I lost the sight of my right eye. And I'll meet people and I'm like, you're out of the matrix. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? So
Can't see.
no. They would say that. I would say no. I said, you had something horrific happen in your life. You're seeing life more clearly now. Because you remember, once he took the pill,
Correct.
he was out of the matrix. He saw the world for what it was.
Right.
So this is literally a popping everybody's bubble. You got people, guys, and I know guys and girls that think that they're, what doesn't stink. They think they're the coolest people, and their money is all BS. Whatever. Everybody in the entire planet got humbled on this.
Big time.
And if we could take that, and all of us step out of the matrix, we're going to be kinder to each other. We're going to have a better life. And we're going to have, when this is over, and it will be, this is a reset. The planet's cleaner than it's ever been. And I'm not like one of those guys that, it's just true. You can see down in the water in Venice. You can see in Hong Kong. You can see the buildings. But we need to do a cleaning and a cleansing of ourselves. And really coming down to when those buildings were coming down and I had to go back, it really gave a shift in my life of what do I want to do? What do I want to be? And who do I want to be? Well, now everybody has the time when everybody's a little scared right now. Take that fear and look inward and saying, okay, if I'm one of the lucky ones that gets out of this, where do I take it from there? How do I help people? And most importantly, how do I give back?
You are tremendous. I'm glad to be working with you, JA. I'm glad you're in my life.
No, we're gonna do a lot of good things together.
At our virtual happy hour tomorrow?
Yes, and for a guy that doesn't drink, because listen, for a big guy, I have that much of a scotch, and I am wasted ever since high school. You can't figure it out.
So there's no drunk driving anymore. It's great.
No, it's great. Listen, I've been everybody's designated driver. It's funny. They got the one-eyed pirate as a designated driver for people. Okay, they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna let him drive, but I'm gonna have a drink because I'm gonna enjoy it. And yes, so I will see you on that party, and I look forward to it.
And I will give your information out if anybody wants to have a one-on-one dialogue. I know you're open to sharing.
Oh,
you're
sure.
Great.
And also on my Instagram, it's David Douglas Greenberg, if anybody wants to follow me.
You the man. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah. You got it. Look forward to it.
Bye-bye.